So we are going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Aloni, and I'm with Schneps Media. Schneps Media is the largest local media company in the New York metro area. We publish over 80 newspapers, magazines, websites, webinars, podcasts, and events throughout Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx, Staten Island, Westchester, Long Island, the East End, Philadelphia, and even Palm Beach, Florida. But today we are thrilled to be right here with you to talk about an important webinar, Preventing the Summer Slide, fun tips on how to keep your kids engaged in learning. And today we have two experts who are going to talk about preparing for school before it lets out, how to make sure your child is set up for success in the next grade, tips on how to engage your students during the summer and keep it fun, and nurturing your child's interests and skills with a summer camp program. So I am thrilled to introduce our panelists. They're both beautiful in person and beautiful in their pictures here. So first, please welcome Marcus Findlay, the principal of Exceed Lower Charter School. Mr. Findlay is originally from Port of Spain, Trinidad, and has a combined 12 years of experience as an educator. As a school leader, Mr. Findlay is most proud of his work to promote equity, peace, and joy in his school community. Welcome, Mr. Findlay.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. Next, please welcome Tracey Louis. Ms. Louis is the academic director for grades 3 to 5 at Empower Lower Charter School. Originally from Brooklyn, New York, she has over 10 years of experience in elementary education. From teaching to coaching, she takes pride in ensuring students are receiving high-quality instruction in a nurturing environment. Welcome, Ms. Louis.
Thank you. So happy to join everyone today.
Fantastic. So let's get started. I would love everyone to learn more. Tell us a little bit about Explore Schools' mission, the schools of Explore Schools and the areas that Explore Schools cover.
Yes, so our mission is really to provide our students with the academic skills and critical thinking abilities that they need to succeed in college prep high schools. And we are 8 schools strong, one family. We serve 1,900 students from grades K to 8, and we've been doing that since 2002 in Brooklyn. Small but mighty, we are in neighborhoods such as Crown Heights, Canarsie, Flatbush, and Prospect Heights. And again, we're a network of 8 schools.
Fantastic, fantastic. So you can see all the different areas within the communities there that you serve, and not so tiny, Ms. Louis. So, summer plans are tricky. And, I know that I'm also scrambling with my own kids. I'd love for all of our attendees to think about, what are your kids' summer plans? What are your summer plans? You can share it with us in the chat here. So we'll look forward to hearing from you about that, and we'll check back with you as people share. But maybe you'll get some new ideas. So tell us, what is the summer slide people talk about, and our today's topic?
Yeah, so we are really excited to talk about this summer slide. Before I got into education, I always heard the term summer slide and made me wonder, what does that mean? Are we sliding away somewhere? But when we think of the term summer slide, we really are referring to the loss of learning that happens during the summertime. They say if you don't practice it, you lose it, right? Or if you don't use it, you lose it. So when kids are out of school for such a long period of time, when they return, we realize that a lot of loss happens, and data has shown that students in grades roughly 3 to 5 have lost about 20% of the gains that they have made throughout the school year.
Wow, that's a tremendous percentage.
Yeah.
So how can parents support summer learning, and how does Explore Schools support that?
Yeah, there are many things that we can do to help support with summer learning, and Explore in particular. We have compiled just a list of ideas that we have here, or things that we actually do during the summertime, and there is more. As you know, we are 8 campuses strong, and we vary our supports by need and by campus. But overall, we try to ensure that students are leaving our campus, heading home for the summertime with summer work packets that's specifically and strategically created by their classroom teachers to meet particular needs that they would want students to be practicing over the summertime. These summer packets would go from math to ELA, some writing, some reading, etc. We also differentiate some of the packets as well by students' level. So we can have a high level, a medium level, and a low level, just for students that are at different places. So we want to make sure we are meeting the kids where they're at, and we are not giving them a summer packet that they are going to be struggling with. And we know that the teachers know best. So we lean on them to put in their special sauce into creating these particular packets. Additionally, we do provide summer reading and book clubs. We provide families as well with resources that they can use to join summer program options. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the programs that we offer here at Explore, but we are in connection with many different program opportunities that we share with families. Some are free of charge, and some have a little bit of course attached to it, but we want to ensure that we provide them with all the tools necessary. We also engage in summer field trips over the summer that students can participate in at some of our schools. And we do make time to check in with some of our friends weekly, bi-weekly, daily, to provide them with any additional support that they might need from us during the summertime.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So children come home with these summer work packets and these different reading because I think, sometimes as a parent, you're a little overwhelmed, but it's you make it kind of easy to be able to have your children do that. And providing those resources of summer program options. Love the field trips and this idea about scheduling time daily or weekly. That really helps us as parents because we feel a little bit lost sometimes. So talk to me more about what we can do as parents to support summer learning.
As parents, if we can go to the next slide. Before we go to that, we're going to share with you some quick tips and tricks that we have as parents that you can use at home to support summer learning. But I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Louis now, who's going to talk a little bit about our summer programming options, and then we'll jump right back to some of those quick tips and tricks.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so definitely talking about the summer programming that we do at Explore. We have hosted summer programs at one or more of our campuses over the past several years. And we make sure that, it's shared not only for our own school, but any other summer programs across Brooklyn, across the city. Those are also shared with our families. And it's available to all students, but we really try to prioritize students who can benefit from additional instructional support. So we work with teachers to identify, like Marcus said before, teachers know best. They're on the ground working with our students every day. So if there are students that they believe would benefit, we take recommendations from them. But again, it's available to all students. And the way that the day is structured, the students receive 4 hours of instructional support around ELA, math, as well as enrichment courses to make sure our students are getting a well-rounded experience. And then they also receive small group instruction for that targeted practice at their respective levels. Now, we mentioned this before, right? But there's also additional field trips and project-based learning opportunities that we make sure that our students are able to participate in throughout the summer.
I love it. So how do these, before we get to that, tell me a little bit more about the programs. How do these programs work? You said the 4 hours. Are they 5 days a week, 3 days a week? Do they vary?
Yeah, so they have varied in the past, but we pretty much try to stick to 5 days and do several hours a day. So they receive 4 hours at least of instruction a day, and then 2 hours. So they're getting at least 6 hours at their school at one of the Explore schools.
Wonderful, wonderful, terrific. So share with me a little bit about how we can support our children at home over the summer, because it might not be easy. So we need your tips.
Yeah, I really want to start off by saying like I'm happy and we are happy to be able to share these tips with families. We know a lot of parents tell us like, I'm not an educator, I'm not a teacher, I don't know what to do. So it's extremely helpful for us to share these tips. I really want to stress on tip number one. We know during the school year, students are used to a particular routine. They get up, they get ready for school, they come to school, they learn all day, they play, they have fun, and then they go back home, watch TV, do homework, sleep, and they do it all over again. During the summertime, we still need to continue with a particular routine. And as parents, you have the opportunity for the flexibility to determine what that routine should look like. So we are asking, quick tip number one, create a routine that aligns to your child and your needs to ensure that some sort of academic work is being done at home. I remember when I visited my godsons, they had like a chart and they had like, I got to do my math, I got to do my reading. And once they're finished, they had to check it off. And then it was playtime or TV time. And this can be as simple as 30 minutes a day or 1 hour a day, because we really don't want to overburden them with schoolwork during their vacation time, but we want to do just enough to ensure that they are staying in tune with their practices, so we wouldn't have that 20% slide happening. We want to stress the importance of balancing the playtime and study time. We know that this is their time to be free, their time to not have to wake up to get to school at 7:30. But we still also do want them to have a few hours per day, 1 to 2 hours per day, where they can get some studying done. So parents ensure that there's a balance. I'll suggest do it first thing in the morning, 9 to 10, 9 to 12, and get it out of the way. And then they can have the rest of the day to play or do the fun things you want to do with them, like take them to the zoo, take them to field trips, etc. We are asking families to talk about
I love that. You know what I want to say, Mr. Findlay, is that I love your idea about having that checklist
Yes.
and checking it off, because you know what, that makes it more fun. You know, you have a list and they check and you're like, yay. And you become kind of on their side, encouraging them to do their work. And then it's, you know, it's the two of you working together and it's, you know, overcoming this list together and making that fun. So, you know, letting them see how their day is structured. I think that's such a great idea that you brought up about having this checklist of like, here's your time for school, and here's our time for fun, and like let's get onto the work, and then we get to the fun. So you're incorporating it. I love that.
And I think students really enjoy having autonomy of the checklist as well. So one can present the checklist to them like they through their phone, be like, hey, you are responsible now for owning this checklist. Once you have the thing completed, check it off. I can check it over, and then you can move on to the next. So yeah, great point. Parents, we want you talking to your kids about the news. This is the time when they're able to catch up on things that's happening around them, things that are happening in their community. Oftentimes, we realize that sometimes kids struggle to write about what's happening in the real world at school because they aren't exposed enough. So take advantage of this opportunity. Talk to them about what's going on. Talk to them about what's happening on social media, what's happening in the news, and hear their views as well and their opinions, and make any corrections if you need to. Students can do weekly book reports. You can get books from the schools, you can borrow books from the library, you can even go book shopping and allow students to do book reports. You can ask a teacher for a book report template, or this is something you can easily download from online as well. And I know kids love writing book reports, especially when it's a book that they are invested in. And going back to the checklist and connecting it to point number 5, just make it fun, add an incentive, provide a reward, because, you know, their kids, they want something out of this. Like, this is my summertime, why should I be working? You know, so let them work towards something. You get a particular amount of reading in per week. We can go to the movies. We can have a popcorn party. I can take you to get your favorite snack at the store. So make it fun for the kids, and they will be super invested, and it would make it much easier for you to manage while you don't have any teachers present.
You know what, Mr. Finley, you know where my favorite place to shop for books with my kids is?
Where?
The library. And you know, you can make it fun. And you can say like, oh, we're gonna go shopping and you can get as many books as you want. Because, you know, as parents, we never say that in a store. But, you know, going to the library and making it, you know, like a an exciting, shopping trip that doesn't have to cost a lot of money, because we want to be able to engage our kids and we don't want to have to spend a lot of money. So, that's one of my favorite places to shop for books.
Yeah.
So speaking about money, I would love some of our attendees to let us know, are you interested in free low cost summer programming? So if anyone is interested in that, I know I am, you can put your email in the chat and they will send you a list within 24 hours. So talk to me about some of these resources.
Absolutely. And we got a question in the chat too, which I'm going to reference and just have you reference some of these resources. The question was, is it recommended to review this year's skills or start previewing and working on next year's work? And we always want to make sure that we are referring to our standards, Common Core, or, there's a shift this year into NGSS. And we want to make sure that we're utilizing our standards to see, what did our kids learn this year? And we know that we're going to build on from what they learned this past year to go into next year. So we want to make sure that if they're in fourth grade right now and they're not using those skills throughout the summer, they may lose it. So you want them to practice the current year as well as they can have a preview, but we don't want them to be overwhelmed by something that they haven't learned yet. So I definitely think continue to practice what they've learned and closed out this year with. Now, some of these resources.
You want them to feel successful. It's a great point because you want them to feel successful. They don't want to feel down. So thank you for that. That's a great point.
So some of these resources are where you can pull some work for students during the summer. One of my favorite is Brain Pop. Students love Brain Pop. They love watching the interactive videos, and then there's some activities aligned with them. At Explore, we utilize iReady ELA. So this is one that students can continue to use throughout the summer, and they can use targeted practice related to where they are academically. Splash Learn, kids love Splash Learn. So those are just a couple of ELA ones. Math, Khan Academy has been around for a very long time, and they are still around, still going strong. Students have been working at our schools using Khan Academy and Zern, and then you will definitely want to keep it well-rounded. So have them do some math, have them do some science, have them do some other activities. National Geographic for Kids is one of our students' favorites. And then you can always use practice tests. So everyone has full access to old New York State math, New York State Regents exams. So students can actually use these to practice those skills and keep them fresh.
Very nice. And are all these resources free? Fantastic. Yeah. And are they a mix of websites and apps, or are they mostly websites?
So they're a mix. Some can be apps, some are websites, and some you can just download certain resources from.
Great. I'm seeing some emails here. Fantastic. We'll make sure to get that list to you. Mr. Findlay, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say to stamp what Ms. Louis said with regards to the question around should we move forward or should we pull back and see where we're at. I just want to echo, students are going to get the opportunity to dive forward in the next school year. We want to make sure that we keep that foundation that we have set in this current school year to prepare them to be successful when they go into the other grade. And of course, parents can be flexible as you work with your kids. You realize that they are progressing very quickly. Feel free to give them the challenge by diving into some of the content from for the next level. But we really want you to hone into those skills that you think the students might need more support with as you prepare them for the next grade. And one example of this, we know some students struggle with sight words. By knowing your sight words, you're going to become a fluent reader. So something you can do is take time to to ensure that kids are able to master those sight words before even giving them an opportunity to read a book at the higher grade level. So really just diving into those skills and making sure that they master those skills right now.
I think it's really great to think about how what's nice about being involved in your children's summer learning is you can really tailor it to your child. So you can see, where are they falling behind? Where are they excelling? And you can, help them to feel strong in areas that maybe they felt weak in before.
And also want to say too, that's data collection for us at the school's end as well, because you can come back in August, September and say, hey, you know what? During the time I was home with my child, I realized blank, and it would be really nice if you can help me and help my student with blank. So parents are fully invested or get an opportunity to be fully invested in their students' learning as well. And they have like the first-hand experience of like what it looks like. I know when the kids are at school, parents see the homework, but they don't necessarily know all the little things that happen along the way. And this is a good opportunity for parents to get that experience as well, so they can inform what happens when the student returns.
Fantastic. So I wanted to also turn to some of the questions that we have from our attendees. So we have a question here. How do I overcome my child's reluctance to summer learning?
You want to go, Miss Lois?
Yeah, I would say make it fun. There are different programs that it seems like it's just a game, fluency games online, but they're actually fun. Splash Learn is great for this. And then I think Mr. Findlay said earlier, give them an incentive like, oh, if you do 1 hour or not even 20 minutes of reading, you can earn this. Maybe they have a sticker chart at home where 5 days where they've done 20 minutes of reading on Friday, we're going to get to go ice cream because you met this challenge. There are little things that you can do to make it fun. I think that's one way to just break down that reluctance around summer learning.
And also want to add, as humans, we want to feel successful. So I'll say start from a place of success with your child. Give them something that you know is going to be easy. So the school might give you this particular packet. You can look through the packet and realize like, hey, this might be a little bit too difficult. I'm going to scroll back, pull out a sheet of paper from somewhere on my desk and give them something that they can actually do to feel successful. We've realized that some of the reasons why students are reluctant to do the summer work is because they don't feel successful. They might feel like sometimes the work is hard. So get them to a place where they are winning and they're going to want to do it even more.
Great. Another question. Thank you for that, both of you. That really is helpful tips on how to find the passion for our kids to want to learn during the summer and learn all the time, really, because if you use these tips during the summer and you ignite their excitement or you reignite their excitement to learning, it can really do well for them the next year, not only in not sliding, but also in their excitement for it. So how does Explore Schools prepare the children for summer? If you can share, someone was asking, I know you shared that before, but I guess we have another question about that. Can you go through that for us?
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking of a different approach. I think before we share some of the tips, we do have these conversations with our students as well, letting them know like, hey, this is what may potentially happen during the summertime if you don't do blank. So the same things and the same advice that we are giving to you now, we try to give it to our students. And we also share the why with them. So they leave with these books and these packets and all these things. And they're like, I'm supposed to be in break. Why are you giving me work? So we share context with them so they can understand why we are doing this. So we do tell them what Summer Slide is. We do tell them how much percentage of their year's growth we think might be reduced if they don't keep up with the practices that they have been doing at school. But to go back to the original question, I think one of the things we focus on, if you might have missed it, is the summer work packets. We are very intentional with what we give our students to work on during the summertime. We know that there are many things that we can provide them with practice opportunities for, but we look at the student data and we dig into those skills and concepts that we see that the students need additional practice in, and we try to create packets that give them opportunities for those practice opportunities. We do provide readings, we do provide field trip opportunities for students to go on trips. We do support students getting books from the library, getting books from school, and also parents even purchasing books. Like if you buy a book that the kid actually likes, they're gonna read the book and they are going to complete the book report. So those are just some of the ways in which we help support our students and get them ready for the summertime.
Fantastic. And that's such a good point about something that they like. You
Yeah.
know, it might not be something that you like, but it might be something that they like. And I love, bringing a child through like a bookstore or a library and just seeing what ignites there. I remember my son, when he was younger, he wanted to read Harry Potter, but I was like, I don't know if he's going to like it. So I went to the library and I got the first one. And after I knew he loved it, then I bought it. I bought the series. So it's very nice to see, your children seeing what they like. But we have a question here too, is like, how do I understand where my child is to be able to give them the right level work in the summer?
You got it?
I definitely think this is a great place for partnership and community with our educators, right? Like we have spent all this time in school this year, and your students' teachers are working with them regularly. So also cueing in them and asking them, hey, you've been with my child all year. What are some things that they would really benefit from working over the summer on? And it could be around fluency. I think one way, if you want to see as yourself how your students are doing, is just have them complete a fluency activity, meaning if they are going to do multiplication, have them complete a multiplication sheet that has various questions, and then have them grade it with them and see, okay, you did really great with 2's timetables, you did really great with 3, but 4 was a little tricky. That's where we're going to spend some time on. And then we'll week by week do the 5s, the 6s. I think also asking before school is out, asking for a list of sight words, asking for a different leveled text to see what level is my child on, what level of books are we going to need to get at the library. If we're talking about reading, there is a tactic we use. It's called Fist to 5, where we let a child read just the first page of a book and see if you've made more than 5 errors on this first page. This book is a little bit too tricky for us right now. Let's find a different level to support where you are. So those are some things that kids can do to see what level their child should be attacking.
That's great. That's great, because I know it can be concerning when the child likes the picture on the top of front of a book and they think that they want to do it. But what a great idea to have them see about how many errors they have to be able to figure if it's the right level. Wonderful.
Also want to add there to get the child invested. So back to that question earlier where the student can be reluctant to do summer work, like really asking the kids. Some of our kids and some of your children are able to clearly articulate what their needs are. Students will come home and say, I'm having problem with addition of fractions. That is what I need help with. So ask your child, like, what area or what topics or what content do you think you need more support with? And some of them will be able to tell you.
Fantastic. Do you think it's a good idea to also ask them what they're great at so that you can pepper that in so they don't feel like, they're not, maybe like having them have successes? Is that helpful?
Yeah, definitely. Like going back to the point where we talk about like ensuring that they have a win. So that conversation can look like, hey, we are about to think about some things that you're going to be working on during the summertime. Like, can you tell me some of the topics that you think you've done really, really well in that school? And what were some of the actions that you took to help you be so successful? And then we can flip it. So then what are 1 to 2 areas that you think you want to work on as you get ready for the next grade? And how can I help you be successful with that? And they might say, well, I need you to sit and read with me. I might need you to create an anchor chart for me. I need you to actually just check over the work to make sure that I am lining up. It's 7 o'clock. Making sure that I'm lining up my numbers properly. Yeah, so they can tell you what they need.
Fantastic. I have a question here. I have many children. I don't know how many they have. How do I manage it with all the different children?
I think this is where really supporting your kids to be self-sufficient. If you have a specific schedule for everyone to sit at the table, and then you can maybe pick one day where you're gonna work with one of your children, another day where you're gonna work with another child. I think that's going to be really helpful. And they already know, like, okay, from 8 to 9, we're just going to be reading to ourselves. From 9 to 10, we're going to be working on our math problems. And that consistency will allow you to support them at different times. Great question.
And I'll also say, like, leaning on them to help each other. I think like that's a good strategy as well. If you're finished and you're looking for something to do, go help your little brother or sister, or even little brother or sister. If you were finished and you want a challenge, see if you can help your older brother or sister with some of his work. And it would be fun. They can switch and grade their work together. And that would create some sort of excitement for them as well.
I love that. That's a great idea. And even I never thought about that, helping the older one for the reach.
Do you mind if I share a quick resource that does span across grades?
Of course, please do.
There's News ELA, which is a resource that can pull articles, and an article could be at a second grade level, but that same article could be expounded upon different terms used for a student who might be in 5th grade. And that would be a nice way of sharing the same content or having students read the same content as a family, but at varying levels. That allows families to speak about a similar topic, and mom and dad can ask questions at different degrees as well.
That's fabulous. Introduce yourself to everybody.
I am a teammate here. My name is Kutaisha Arrington, and I work with all of the folks on this call around family engagement.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for jumping in. See, it takes a village, right? That is the truth. So share with us all about, if someone wants to, I did share the contact information, but what's the process for parents who are interested in your summer programs and beyond?
And so I'll jump in here because that is my domain. So our summer programs are for students who are currently enrolled in our schools. And I know that many of our families here are prospective families. And so families, we released an application. The application due date was last week. And then we identify families who are willing to adhere to the commitment of participation at least 97%. And those students are grouped in grade level groups and or receive support in other small group components. And they start our summer program as though it is a daily school schedule. We go from 8 to 3. And we take way more field trips over the summer. But similarly to that end, one of the things that both Ms. Lewis and Mr. Findlay shared is that we also have a list of resources of programs across Brooklyn, but also across the city, which was another question that was raised, that we can share with families. These are free or low cost programs, many of which provide scholarships as well. And so these are alternatives to programs that are offered specifically with Explore Schools of Brooklyn.
Fantastic. And Jennifer wanted to know if you could share that resource at different levels of reading.
Oh, absolutely. It's News ELA. I'll drop it in the chat as well.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Well, before we say goodnight, because this has been so informative and really I'm excited for summer now, I wanted to go to Ms. Lewis and Mr. Findlay and just share about one tip. If you had to give one tip, maybe it's to like your best friend who is asking about how to prevent the summer slide. What would your insider tip be? Ms. Lewis?
Yeah, I'm trying to narrow it down to one.
Just pick your favorite. Pick your favorite.
I think really make it balanced, right? Make it fun and make it a learning experience. It doesn't always have to be at home. It can be at a museum. It can be at a library. There's learning that can happen outside and in our environment, in our community. So I would say make it balanced, make it fun, explore.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And it's always a learning opportunity. Like you just said, no matter where you are, there's an opportunity to make it a learning opportunity if you think about it. That's terrific. Thank you. Mr. Findlay?
Yeah, I'll definitely say, in addition to what Ms. Louis said, really just keep a routine, like I said earlier, and make it consistent. This would help both you and the kids, because if they know what to expect, it makes it easier for them to accept it. So just make it consistent, get the students' input, get your child's input. They can create their own schedule with your guidance, and norm on what it will look like together, so that from the parent and like you ain't gotta force your child to do the math. If they said, I want to do math from 10 to 10:30, then watch some TV and then come back to do ELA. So yeah, just make it a routine, make it consistent, and get the students buy-in.
I love that. Ms. Arrington, do you want to share with us your favorite? She's like, wait a minute, what? Your favorite tip in preventing the summer slide?
Why not? I echo many of the things that our experts on here, both Ms. Louis and Mr. Findlay have shared, but one of the things that I'd encourage families to do is look up different field trips. I remember my dad, he would, if I were to attend something like the Million Man March in Washington, D.C., then it was necessary for me to write a book report about it. We had conversations and they were framing questions that he asked. So thinking about mixing like fun and play with how it is that you're questioning your students' critical thinking about what it is that they experienced is something that I think is super, super helpful. So thinking about different field trips that you can take your students to, museums and so forth, and how it is that you can use that as an educational experience to kind of pair the two.
Fantastic. Well, this has been fantastic. I want to thank, Ms. Arrington as being our surprise visitor, which was phenomenal. But I want to thank Mr. Findlay and Ms. Louis for giving us this important information and putting it on our radar to make sure that we don't have our children experience a summer slide and make sure they don't lose that 20% that you are talking about. And I want to encourage all of our attendees, reach out at admissions@explorenetwork.org, the phone number 929-561-9544, and exploreschools.org/enroll. Ms. Armstrong said about Queens, and Ms. Arrington was so kind to say she will pull at least 5 in Queens to share with you. So that is wonderful. I do have your email from your sign up, so I will share that with Ms. Arrington so she can do that. We all want to be able to give our children the best experience both during the school year and in the summer. So thank you so much to all of you and to Explore Schools for supporting this evening. And I want to wish all of our attendees a wonderful night and to stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Good night, everybody.